Welcome to the Charter Township of Comstock Board Meeting, March 16th, 2026. This meeting is now called to order. May we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Moving along for the approval of the agenda.
Before we approve the agenda, I would like to add the appointments for the ZBA because there is a meeting next week, and if we don't do our appointments tonight, if we are missing one person, we won't have a quorum.
Can we know the names of the people prior to adding it to the agenda? I mean, we should know who is being appointed, I would think.
Could we do that during the discussion when we add it to the agenda item? Attorney Thal?
Sure, you can, because you're not approving them right now. You're just going to talk about it.
There's a point that during the discussions we've had previously, we as a committee have not made a recommendation for the board. So I'm questioning at this point to bring it up without having any nominations in hand. What would be the point of doing it at this point?
Treasurer, I do believe that there is a quorum available on the ZBA. I do think we have enough to conduct a meeting.
Unless somebody is missing, then we
And there's
don't.
alternates for the ZBA.
But I don't think they've been reappointed, have they, Supervisor Martin? That was my understanding. Because
We do have an alternate to appoint.
Yeah.
So could we just move it, add it to the agenda, have discussion, talk about it? See if we could move things forward this evening through discussion? Be looking, if that's the only, we'll go this to a vote. If that's the only addition to the agenda, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the agenda with the amendment.
Where did you want the ZBA appointments on the agenda?
Oh, you could put it under supervisor.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of discussion and possible appointments for the ZBA under supervisor.
Support. Motion and support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving along to public comments on agenda and non-agenda items. A citizen may state their name and address and may speak only one time. For no more than 3 minutes, this time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor. No other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you'll be making statements to the board without discussion from board members, but you're welcome to make an appointment with the supervisor or superintendent to discuss your comments further. Their contact information is located by the door. Please keep your comments clean and respectful.
Hi, Tammy Keeler. Sandy, Ben, Mr. Amos. I'm sorry for the outrage the other day. It wasn't against you. It was against the other four, in which I don't owe them an apology, but I do owe you one. And as far as that article in the paper, Dave Camburn, I don't know where you get we, the people of this community want Ben off that board. It's I, not we. Like you said the other day, I called up for reenactment of that statement for the newspaper article. So did a few other people. It shouldn't have been residents. The residents don't want Ben to leave. It's you and a few other people that are on that board. So get your facts straight, please. You guys are up there violating laws, passing agenda items without letting the people speak on it. You're voting on this stuff without us even knowing what it's about. We should be able to speak on it or vote on it. This is why we do not trust the four of you. This is where our trust is broken. Because you guys have those backdoor meetings. pass something without us even knowing about it. We ought to know all the zonings. We ought to know everything that's going on in Comstock, but you guys are hiding it. Probably pocketing the money, who knows? But yeah, and as far as the fire department, why don't they use the money that they got in their savings for their training instead of taking it from your budget so that you can do other projects with it. The other day, tornado sirens were going off. Couldn't figure out where they're coming from until I found it on Facebook. The city was testing their sirens. I heard it in my house. And that was from the city. So we do still need the fire sirens. Thank you.
Dave Camburn, 1078 Verlaine Street. I believe, Mr. Supervisor, as chairing the board, the speakers here should address the board, and I hope in the future you will redirect them when they're addressing the audience. I'd appreciate it. I did not say I wanted you off the board in that article. I don't know where she got that. I don't know how she draws her conclusions that she does. What I said was that if you have to make a choice between your liquor license or being the supervisor, I would hope to think that you would save your business. It all boils down to whether or not you are in violation of the ordinance, which apparently has to be determined yet. If you are in violation, is the Liquor Commission going to stand behind that and enforce it and make you make the choice? If they say, we don't care, then it's clear. And after that, amending that ordinance would be worthwhile. If you amend it now, it will indicate favoritism towards you, and you'll get calls of corruption and so forth, like a lot of false calls have been made from this spot right here by certain people frequently. So I would really hope that you enforce the speak to the board and the be respectful portion of the public comment, because frequently it is not very respectful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Kelly Cody, and I gave my card to the clerk so she has my spelling. I am the chair, or the commander of the Coalition of Veteran Service Organizations in Kalamazoo County. And I'm also the chair of the Kalamazoo County Veteran Affairs Committee. I come to you representing a vast majority of the veterans in Kalamazoo County in support of transferring the property at 854 Lombard to the land bank. Our organization formed, the coalition formed 2 years ago, April, and our membership includes all the VFWs in Kalamazoo County, including your great asset here in Comstock, VFW 652, all the American Legions except one, and the Marine Corps League. We have focus on 3 priorities: veteran homelessness and housing, veteran suicide, and veteran transportation. We formed this organization because our counties and our cities and our state are not serving veterans well, and we thought we could do a better job as veterans. There are approximately 12,000 veterans in Kalamazoo County. Of that, approximately 960 live in poverty. Additional 500 approximately are housing insecure. So one of the things that I did was contact the county to see if the veterans are even in the county housing plan, and the word veteran doesn't show up there. So we want to prioritize veterans. I've met with the land bank, and they are willing to allow us to prioritize veterans if that property is transferred to them. They've committed $600,000 to $800,000 to rehab it. they've given us the authority to identify the veterans who would be housed there, and our additional responsibility would be providing services to the veterans. And we've already gotten many organizations willing to provide services, up to and including the Veteran Service Office here in town, ISK, Volunteers of America, and more. So I'm here to support the transfer and to prioritize veterans in Kalamazoo County, and thank you for your time. Oh, I apologize, I have to leave. I have another meeting to go to, so I can't be here for your discussion later.
Thank you, sir.
Lori Bowersox, 4822 Landing Way. I'd like to talk to you about hidden gems in Comstock. First is what I call my library. I know it's not really my library, but it sure feels like it. I go often. People who work there are always busy and seem happy. They greet me and let me wander on my own, or they cheerfully help me with my needs. I can check out a ukulele or even a power washer. My library costs me only about $80 in taxes a year. If I purchased the books I read, about $40 a year, it would cost me over $1,000. Thank you. Next is Robert Morris Park at only $25 yearly. 18-hole disc golf, playground, picnic pavilions, and swimming, of course. A great place for children, families, and young adults. Thank you. Third is Echo Valley, a bit of a reincarnation this year. Memories for me stretch back 60 years with wind whistling in my ears and speeds I care not to know. This year it opened on New Year's Day. Congrats to the new owners. Their hours of work much appreciated. My North Carolina daughter was here for the opening day. 30 runs with her mother that day, and the next day, 30 runs with her father. What a negotiator. I enjoyed the warming hot with hot chocolate, happy tobogganers, and great views. Later, as I pulled out of our driveway for North Carolina, she asked for a return next year. Echo Valley. Thank you. Merrill Park is another hidden gem for happy people. Pavilions, play equipment, and a river. Thank you. Soil Friends Farm is the last gem I will highlight. Another happy place. My grandchildren have enjoyed the fun games, of course, choosing their pumpkins and gourds and picking flowers. I have fresh produce and flowers. It's also great to have lunch or dinner and a hard cider. All around is the chatter and hum of people relaxing with friends and neighbors. A great place in our own community, and Soil Friends donated 10,000 pounds of food to Kalamazoo Loaves and Fishes. Thank you. Recently, there has been a bit of Facebook fussing. As a community, I hope we find ourselves able to move above pettiness and appreciate our community for what it offers. There is so much for us to celebrate. I hope that you review ordinances often. I don't know, but I've noticed some of them are 40 years old, and hopefully that's an activity you embark on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Autumn Smith. I'm here tonight to raise serious and legal and ethical concern regarding Superintendent Hess and his continued employment with the township. Under Michigan law, specifically MCL 42.11, there are clear expectations regarding eligibility to hold office, including residency requirements. These are not suggestions, they are statutory requirements meant to ensure that those serving a community are part of that community. If Superintendent Hess does not meet that residency requirement, then we have to ask a very direct question. On what legal basis is he holding this position? But the concern doesn't stop there. There's also the issue of his employment contract. From what has been presented publicly, Superintendent Hess entered into his contract at a time when he did not have a valid oath of office that was required. That matters. The oath is not ceremonial. It is a legal prerequisite to exercising the authority of the office. Without it, Any official actions taken, including entering into a binding employment agreement, are highly questionable. So now, we have a situation where he may not meet statutory residency requirements. He entered into a contract without having first taken the oath of office, and he continues to operate under that same contract today. This raises a fundamental issue. If the contract was not valid at its inception due to the lack of an oath, how can it be valid now? And if it is not, and on what lawful authority is that happening? This is not a personal attack. This is about governance, accountability, and the rule of law. The public deserves to know that the people in positions of authority are there legally and that taxpayer money is being spent lawfully. If there is legal justification for the situation, it should be clearly explained. If there is not, then corrective action needs to be taken immediately. Transparency is not optional, and compliance with the law is not optional. I urge the board to address these concerns directly and seek the proper channels to correct them. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
John Charlie, 9850 Miller Drive, Galesburg, Michigan. Let's get down to something, I guess, worth talking about tonight. College Hunks, what we paid last year and everything, some people might think that is a lot of money. I heard some people reach out and be like, that's a lot of money. Kind of broke it down really quick. You figure $80 a ton, which is roughly anywhere from 70 to 90. We had 250 tons last spring. That's about $20,000. They charged us $22,000. So they got to add on their fees of everything like that. Then labor is about $50 to $60 per man hour, depending if they worked 40 hours for 2 weeks. So we did spend $120,000 last year. In my opinion, we need to say yes to the $100,000 this year for the 2 times, because automatically prices are going up. I guarantee the wages from last year are going to go up to $65, $70. You know, so I truly think we need to say yes to the College Hunks to do the spring cleanup and the fall cleanup for $100,000, because we're going to be saving money, in my opinion. That's if the contract is written well and everything, that's stating that, like, if we have a torrential rainstorm or a tornado go through and everyone puts out their junk and we got 500,000 tons this year instead of 250,000 tons, we would still pay that $100,000. You don't want a clause in that contract that if something happens, it's not going to be good. The other thing is the land bank. I think it's good that the land bank wants to do something, but us as taxpayers should get the money back that we paid the land bank of the $25,000 or $20,000. Again, that's $25,000. That can go towards the fire department. That can go towards the homeless committee, the DDA, the planning commission, to all the legal fees that we have been spending over the last year and a half on just, in my opinion, stupid stuff. You know, and that's on everything the last year and a half that has just been ridiculous amount of money spent on legal fees with just everything. I think that $20,000 we deserve back from the land bank as people that pay taxes. You guys might not care up there on the board about $20,000, but I guarantee you put $20,000 of anyone in this pocket out here, they would be very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Jonica Cameron. I know that members can't speak to anything while we're talking now, but I kind of have a request because I'm confused from what Autumn said. I was under the impression at the last meeting that Attorney Thal said something about there was a de facto law ordinance, something, I don't know the words, that allowed the superintendent to go ahead with his job before he was sworn in under oath, and that what he did before still applied, but I'm not sure. So would it be possible during member comments if he could clarify that? Because I thought I understood that, and now I'm confused from what Autumn said. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Andrew Bellows. I wasn't planning to speak, but since she brought up this de facto doctrine, so if the de facto doctrine is good for him, should be good for him. no double standards.
Good evening, Dean Rockwell, reside at 8178 Fall Meadow Trail. As a point, any of my statements represent myself and my opinions, not anyone on the board or the VFW. To caveat Mr. Coley's statements about the land bank, I do acknowledge that history of that property is complicated. You know, township promises, grants that maybe were unused, property being donated, of course, as the gentleman said, and the intrinsic value that it brings. I personally support its proposal and use going to the land bank for affordable housing for veterans due to the numerous agencies that Mr. Cody referenced, a man that I know and trust some, and he's brought to bear in support of that land bank and what they intend to manage. Second, some of the residents shared with me some screenshots of a Facebook community group that I guess, you know, focuses on board members and township issues, as well as some residents who I guess who have a PhD in making memes. One of them from 4 days ago referenced me and my duties, so I just want to address those two. The first one was about free weather alert radios coming from the Kalamazoo County Board of Supervisor meeting, and that Supervisor Martin didn't attend. I was there for that meeting. Many of the supervisors cannot attend that meeting because it happens once a month on Wednesdays from 10 to noon. So Supervisor Martin was proactive, asked me if I could. I believe I am qualified to take notes, a brief summary, grab information sharing with other community leaders like emergency management, and bring them back to Supervisor Martin. Those radios were turned over that afternoon, maybe the next day, to the fire department, as I believe they were the point of contact so that they could distribute to residents as they deemed fit. Second was about Supervisor Martin's appointees, in this case myself as his deputy, benefiting monetarily from this. I met at the outset, because that was a concern of mine, with Superintendent Hess, telling him, was there a way to stop payroll, as I did not want to take any monies from this already overtaxed, community. He said that might be a board action, so in lieu of that, I held that money in trust. We have donated back to the township. We are installing a flag retirement receptacle box at the transfer station for the residents between Thursday and Saturday of this week, as I mean to take no money from this appointment, as I help Supervisor Martin in any way, not to keep any of that for myself. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further citizen comment this evening? If there are no further comments, we'll be moving along to announcements for departments, boards, and commissions. Commissioner?
I figured there might be somebody else in the room. Thank you, Ben. I'm John Gisler. I'm a county commissioner, and my district includes 5 of the 15 rural townships in the county. So despite my lack of farming and rural background, I'm not a city guy by any measure, but I have learned a lot in the time I've been in this position, and it's largely been from the people I've met and run into, and at places like this where you hear what's going on. I have a few things to mention. You may have mentioned them before, but I want to emphasize, because some of them are still out in front of us. There's going to be Office of Emergency Management training for all local officials, whether you're elected, appointed, or whatever. The more the merrier. And the first meeting is going to be on April 1st at the Oshtemo Fire Department on 6th Street. I imagine the chief would be able to tell us where that is.
Just off Stadium Drive.
Oh, okay. 6th Street, yeah. Excellent, thank you. The second meeting is going to be April 15th at the Expo Center, and both meetings will be 3 o'clock to 4:30. Again, everybody's included, everybody's invited. It's just going to be a sort of a local governance 101 kind of meeting. And it's the first time it's ever been done, and I'm going to plan on definitely being there and take notes and see if it's worthy of doing it again. On April 18th, more meetings, and this is again sponsored by the Office of Emergency Management. This will be the Skywarn training. I think I spoke about that a few months ago when we didn't know much at all. We now know considerably more. There are 400,000 plus Skywarn volunteers in the nation, and Michigan and Kalamazoo County are somewhat underrepresented. So this is an effort by the National Weather Service to provide 2 hours worth of training to anybody that's willing to, during the kind of weather we've had here recently, and maybe still have more coming, instead of relying on weather radar on the television or online, somebody that'll actually step out the door and see what's going on. They want to have personal people, personal people, that's a great term. They want to have individuals say, there's nothing going on here despite what the weather radar is saying, or all hell's breaking loose, it's really bad news. So if anybody's interested in doing that, it doesn't pay anything, but it also doesn't cost you to go to the 2 hours worth of training. That'll be at the Red Cross office out off Stadium Drive on the 18th of April, and it'll be from 2 to 4. I was at the Road Commission meeting last week. I asked about the seasonal weight restrictions because I understand Cass, Branch, and St. Joe County have all lifted theirs, and the Road Commission's going to be a little cautious. They expect the earliest it would be lifted would be next Monday. Now, if I find out that they have lifted it sooner, that's so be it. But right now, it looks like it's going to be sometime next week, Monday possibly. Last thing is that on the 18th of March, which is 2 days from now, yes, that makes it Wednesday, at 1 o'clock, there's going to be a statewide tornado drill. And I've asked the question of the Office of Emergency Management, does this include those weather radar radios that the fire department distributed and other fire departments distributed? And the answer is they don't know yet. So I would say if your radio goes off at 1 o'clock on Wednesday, that's what it's for. And if you hear tornado sirens going off, that's what it is. It's planned to be a statewide effort, a statewide drill. Any questions?
Any board member questions? Thank you very much, Commissioner. We'll be moving along to the approval of the consent agenda. We have minutes of the March 2nd, 2026 regular board meeting, minutes of March 10th, 2026 special board meeting, and bills payable March 17th, 2026. Be looking for a motion of approval.
It's been brought, it's been brought to my attention that Trustee Pratt was not included on the approval of the agenda for the March 10th special meeting. So I would move that we approve the consent agenda with the addition of Trustee Pratt approving the agenda on March 10th.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Poggiam, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Moving through presentations, through business, and on to fire and rescue.
All right, good evening. The first two items we have is action to allow the fire department to proceed with a request, one through Congress and one through the state. Both requests, this is our 5th year that we requested assistance through congressionally directed spending and the state budget process, if you allow me to proceed tonight. Previously, we've applied for equipment. We've applied for a traffic safety unit and replacement of Station 9-3. I will caveat both of them. In particular from the state of Michigan, the budget's tight. We don't anticipate support for our request, and it looked a little iffy on the congressional side as well. But if you don't ask, you can't be in the consideration process. So for the first request is to request congressionally directed spending through U.S. Senator Gary Peters' office for 2 items. One is $11.5 million for New Station 9-3. This is the portion we do not have funding saved for. And the second request would be $595,000 for replacement traffic management unit called a barrier device and a chassis to tow it.
Any questions for Chief Beauchamp?
I had just one, probably not even relevant. You said you applied in the past. How many times have you been approved for it in the past?
We haven't been approved for any funding.
Okay.
It's for the state, it's a statewide request. And then obviously a congressional. The congressional is a very tough process because you're going against national. Statewide, it's really about who our representatives and senators are pushing our, what we'd like to see along. And we've had some lacking support in the past, so we have not made it to the state budget. I've seen some things get approved that I was scratching my head on. I can't believe it got approved, so it's worth trying. You never know, but we haven't been forwarded on for heavy consideration in the past.
Okay, thanks.
Trustee Amos, any questions? Trustee Pratt?
None tonight, thank you.
Clerk Beauchamp?
I don't have any.
Trustee MacGyver?
All set.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Nope, but good luck.
Chief, is there any, do those representatives ever provide letters of support or recommendation?
Yeah, we'll be seeking letters of support through that. Traditionally, I go through local entities like for the traffic unit that we'd pair up with, so the EMS world, emergency management, MDOT, sheriff's office, that sort of thing. And then the station would be similar support.
And is the station, is that state or the funding with that?
So the first request is for the congressionally directed funding, so that's through Congress.
Okay.
The second request, the second item of business is for the states.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, if we could pass it through a motion to allow me to go through the congressionally directed spending process and then a separate one with the state process. And then I can continue on with those applications and get letters of support and formally submit on our behalf.
Okay.
So the first one would be through congressional directed spending.
Sounds good. Be looking for a motion?
I'll give it a shot. I make a motion, we approve the request to apply for the fiscal year 27 congressionally direct spending for the fire station.
Motion made by Trustee Cherry.
Support.
Supported by Trustee Pratt. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
I'm sorry, real quick. You, on that motion, you just said fire station, but he's also asking for a mobile barrier unit, so maybe it could just be
That'd be the second.
modified to be
That'd be the
clear.
second motion, won't
No,
it?
that was one was through congressional spending and one was through the state, but they were both for the
Say
two
fire
things.
department.
I gotcha.
Two different entities,
Okay.
same exact
Okay.
request.
One motion, two things.
Yeah, so can we amend it and add fire department as opposed to fire, what did I say, fire truck?
Okay, so amended to say fire station, fire department, not
Yes.
fire station.
Yes, correct.
And I support that.
Fire station and traffic management unit. Correct?
And if there's no change,
Does that cover them both?
Attorney Thal,
You should just vote on it again.
I agree.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
All right, thank you. And the next one is for the state of Michigan, same deal, or same request. This is through Senator Sean McCann's office. Again, the same amount for the new fire station and the same amount for the traffic management unit.
Any questions for Chief Beauchamp? Be looking for a motion?
I would make a motion that we allow Chief Beauchamp to apply for the 2027 State of Michigan budget appropriations to Senator Sean McCann for the following. It's $11.5 million for the new Station 9-3 portion that we don't have the funding for, and the replacement traffic management unit for $595,000. It's a mobile barrier and chassis.
Support.
Motion made by Trustee MacGyver, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
All right, great. Appreciate the support on that. Next up, so I do want to tie in a couple topics here. One is we are still working on plans for the new station. And as I said at a couple board meetings ago, we're going to plan on having an open house. Obviously, it's tough sometimes for the board meeting for the citizens to get their questions answered. So we're going to have an open house tentatively April 8th and April 16th. I'm still finalizing this with the architects, so don't write it down yet, but pencil it in. April 8th and 16th. The first one will be at Station 9-3, which we're, as mentioned, what we'd like to replace. And the second one, April 16th, will be Station 9-1, which we want to convert the training room or be able to in the future if this first part of the project goes. So if it works out, we'll announce it, and we'll have basically a presentation, informal presentation, be able to answer questions on what the new station looks like. We're getting really close with the architect to see what that is. I just don't want to publicly put it out on our social media and website and all that yet, because we got a couple pieces to fall in line. But I don't know when the next board meeting is before, so I wanted to get that out. Next item for the fire department. Deputy Chief Thompson, he's patiently waiting over there. He's ready. He's got a presentation on fire department training tonight. There's a small portion of this that we're tying in why we'd like to see a new station. So it's a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the entirety of our presentation tonight. The entirety is to show what goes into fire department training. He's going to tie it in a little bit to why we'd like to have this as a piece of our new station. So, Deputy Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Like Chief Beauchamp alluded to, I just really want to talk about our training that we do at the department. Oh, Scott said it wouldn't work. And focus mostly on what we spend our time on. So I want to talk about what drives the training requirements we have, what some initial training looks like for our members, what we do ongoing to keep up those skills, where we train, and then really at the end, what the benefit is for our community and who we serve. Triple click. So what drives our requirements? You know, it starts at the federal level. There's a lot of federal mandates that require us to do certain trainings, NFPA standards, excuse me, that require us to do certain skills. And then down into the state level, we have MIOSHA drives a lot of what we do. The Michigan Firefighters Training Council drives what we do. They drive continuing education credits for firefighters. And then EMS also, with our certification as EMTs for our department, we have continuing education requirements for that. Then down more local, we have medical control, who says that we have to do certain trainings this many times per year. So there's a lot of top-end stuff that tells us what we have to do every year. We look at best practices, kind of what's going on in the fire service. You know, the newest thing is EV fires. We've had to focus a lot of training on that. That's a new trend that's coming out that we're looking at. And then what our community is looking at for us. Try not to double click too much. So to start out, you know, I look at fire training like building a house. This initial training that we go through is that foundation of the skills for our firefighters. So every new hire, if they don't come in trained, we have to send them to Fire Academy. The Kalamazoo County Fire Chiefs host a Fire Academy every year. That's around 280 hours of training that they do over 6 months. And then they also have to obtain their EMT certification, which is another 244 hours. So this is just the basic level of training that they have to do before they even start. So this just gets them ready to be on the department. We haven't even started to get into anything else after that. So once they're on the department, you know, they start off and they're a probationary firefighter. That's typically for 1 year. They have an internal workbook. So they've gotten the foundation from the Fire Academy, but now we have to teach them more about the fire service in general. So more hands-on skills, more focused training, learning our equipment, learning the response area. All of that is done in that probationary period. And that's, you know, typically 160 to 200 hours, depends on the person, how much time they have to put into it and what we have available. That next step, once they've reached that level, is to become an apparatus operator. So the apparatus operator in our department is probably, I would say, one of the pivotal roles, because that's the person that drives that apparatus, which is, you know, not a small pickup truck, but a large 50,000-pound piece of equipment. And they bring that to fires, and they have to know how to operate it. So it's some people are quick to get it, some people aren't, but we spend time to make sure everybody has a really good confidence with it and is able to bring it to the emergencies. And then ongoing, so we built everybody up to this level, and now we need to make sure we maintain that and keep growing from there. So we have department-wide training, so every 2 weeks we have department drill. So this morning we had training this morning, we'll do it again tomorrow night. And then 2 weeks later, we'll do the same thing. This gets, you know, it's usually half and half who's available, depending on which day, but it gets everybody together and we focus on one big topic. And then we have on-duty trainings, which is crews will just train while they're on duty and focus on small hands-on topics. Sometimes related to what we had just discussed in the week prior. So, you know, if we talked about ladders as a global scale, the next week they will focus on just single ladders and practicing that. So kind of just break it down a little bit and focus more on the crew level. Online training, because of the continuing education requirements from the state for EMS and fire still, there's still a lot of training that has to be done. So we have an online program that helps us accomplish that. Some of the smaller things, some MIOSHA requirements, bloodborne pathogens, those type of things, they do those trainings online. Excuse me. There is some external training that happens often. You know, sometimes there's things that we just can't offer because of availability. A recent one was a class just over the weekend at the city of Kalamazoo. They had 3 or 4 acquired structures that they were able to train with. They brought people in from all over the country to do this training, and we were able to send some of our personnel to that training, which was very beneficial. We also have specialty team training, so some of our members are on specific teams within the county. So rope rescue, technical rescue, hazmat teams, and those, they have separate training on top of that. So we do quite a bit of training in-house specifically. Last thing I touched, you know, is fire officer development. So once somebody is past an apparatus operator and is promoted, you know, they're now in a leadership position. So there's additional training on top of that, just because they're now in a leadership position and need to make bigger decisions. So all of this work, it's a lot of training that some people just don't see all the time. Right now where we train, excuse me, we have the classroom at Station 9-1, and we were just there this morning. Smaller classroom, with the way it's set up, we can seat about 30 people in there. One of the big barriers with that station is we can't hold large trainings there. If it's a large classroom, because of the parking spots, we don't have enough parking available. We hosted a instructor class over the weekend, last weekend, and we were out of parking spots. The students that were there just couldn't, they had to park along the building. So it really limited that. We do have areas where we can do hands-on training at the station, but it is above the living quarters and the training room in that part. So if you're doing any training and somebody is maybe sleeping downstairs, or I'm working in my office, I can hear them banging around on the floor. So it's pretty cumbersome to get through. This is the Kalamazoo Regional Fire Training Center, the tower that's on Nazareth Road. We do utilize this quite a bit. It was originally built in 2008 with a partnership between Comstock and I believe it was 7 other departments within the county purchased into this program to build this building. With that contract came 10 free years of use. So we in those 10 years, from 2008 to 2018, we used it quite a bit. And I think we capitalized on what our initial outlay was for that. It is a live fire training building. So you can see it's a 5-story building. It's designed for live fire. It has some other special props built into it. But now, because of the city of Kalamazoo, they're doing fire academies, and they do 3 per year from what I was just told the other day. And they're basically booked throughout the summer. So from April until September, can't be used, basically. So we're stuck into the September uses for it. just to touch on what we're looking at for the proposed location. This is a quick snapshot of what the classroom looks like on that proposed plan. This has 50 seating for 50, that's with tables. Without tables, we could fit more. It definitely has a much larger parking area. And there is a mezzanine area that I didn't put a picture in there, that we couldn't get a good one, but on the utility side of the building across the apparatus bay, there's a mezzanine area that we can use for search and rescue training, indoor training when the weather's like it is right now. That's separate from the living quarters side of the building. It also has a training tower attached to it. And, you know, when we were looking at this property, we really were identifying that the training area we have now, while it works, if we could have more area, it would be worlds better. So due to the lot size, we were able to capitalize and say, we could probably put a training tower here. It's not for live fire whatsoever. It won't be designed for that, but it's designed for ladders, search and rescue, hose deployment, you know, the things that are perishable skills that if we can't train on them often, we lose those perishable skills. So the more we can train on it, the better. And having it attached to the building keeps us at the station to do that type of training, keeps us in the district. So what does the community get? Obviously, you know, that consistent service delivery, you know, our job is to save lives and minimize property loss. That's our goal. And the more we can train, the more we can keep our skills sharp, the better off we're going to be. It's safer operations for us if we train more often, because our personnel are very skilled at what they do. The more we train, the more our skills are improved. We can increase EMS quality and documentation. One of the big things with our increased licensure that we all undertook to get that EMT level, obviously we're providing an amazing service to our citizens, but it takes more training to keep that up. One of the last benefits is a lower ISO rating. So ISO is driven, a lot of that scoring is driven from training, quite a large chunk of it, and how we document it. So we've really upped our game to keep that rating, and we're proud of it, to keep it as low as it is. So like I said, it's year-round. I think every day of the week, if you stop by a fire station, they will be training on something. They should be. That front-end initial training is a huge undertaking for those that we hire, and then we have to keep those skills up. We're constantly training as much as we can. We try to mix as much as we can between training on the station, outside training, and live fire or any other abilities we have because of those perishable skills. So we take pride in being ready, and we're happy to serve everyone. So that's all I have. Any questions for me or Chief Beauchamp?
Any questions? Trustee Jerry?
So the one that you're proposing is not designed for live fire. So will you still be utilizing the one in Nazareth?
Yeah, any opportunity we can get to use the one in Nazareth, we will definitely use it.
And you were saying it's only available to you in September?
Yeah, because of Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety has internal fire academies, and they get the building kind of when they want, and we have to schedule it so far out because of the limited availability. It is available to us, but it is very limited on when we can use it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Any further board member questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
As I was looking at the visual on the towers, I'm sure that the cost to make that a live fire would be astronomical, but sitting here thinking about it, I don't think there's possibly room there to even do that if the fire department wanted to. And if it was an option, is there any way that we could lease it out to other departments to have an income off it?
So I don't believe we could build one there. There's not enough property, and also I think with how close we are to the neighborhood and the buildings around us,
Okay.
we wouldn't want to. Would you agree with that, Chief?
Looks like the Galesburg School.
Oh, yes, the school's too close. There is requirements in a NFPA standard that says you have to be a certain distance from schools and everything, so we would love to, but it just wouldn't work for us, so.
I can add on a little bit. Really, the intent would be is to be able to host trainings, and it might be a small hands-on component to use it. So we're looking at a 3-story, fairly small tower compared to a 5-story big complex, if you will. So we're just looking to take a snapshot to do some skills, as the deputy chief mentioned, keep that up. But what our thought is, if we have a training room not only big enough to accommodate our personnel, but if we host a training, there is an opportunity to potentially capitalize and make some money. And then if it was non-burn training, we'd be like, hey, we don't have to go to the tower, we can do it right here. There's no scheduling issues, and potentially charge X amount per student, make it realistic, and be a regional host. So there's a lot of opportunities to still use Nazareth Road, and we still want to, but it's very limited, and we pay per use now. So we think, hey, some of this incidental, new hire stuff, our regular trainings, let's just do it here, and we'll schedule the big stuff in advance a few times a year at Nazareth Road. So we've exhausted what we've could out of Nazareth. We put that investment into it, and I think our department, besides the city of Kalamazoo, utilized it more than anybody else. But that ship has sailed. Now it's a pay per use, and we're at the city of Kalamazoo's mercies. So we're still great partners with them. They're just very aggressive with their needs, and we thought that this would be a smaller snapshot to do some stuff. But really, the big emphasis is it's not an apples to apples thing that we're trying to do. We're trying to do some small stuff, some maintenance stuff, versus the regional training tower, which is big, live fire, big event stuff. So it's serving what we think its purpose. I hope that helped.
Any further board member comments, questions? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Commissioner?
Will you humor me and let me ask a question?
These fellows might be able to answer it for you.
Absolutely. Comstock is the largest of the 5 townships that are in my district, and the other 4 are considerably smaller in most cases, and they are constantly on the make for training firefighters. Do you guys wind up doing some training and then have somebody get pilfered from you? Sort of like how Procter & Gamble used to be in the soap business. They would bring people in and train them as product managers, and then everybody else in that industry, Lever Brothers and whatever, they couldn't wait to get their hands on the Procter & Gamble trainees. Are people looking for your
so
trainees?
It's dynamic for sure. We have had some go because there was better pay or opportunities, but we've had just as many, if not more, come to here because of what our department stands for, our culture, and our aggressive training. We've had a lot of come here and go, hey, I want to be part of this organization as well. So we've lost some to a neighboring department or 2, other areas of the state. They had to take care of their family, pay benefits was better, that sort of thing. And in public safety in particular, to get a big sign-on bonus and to go somewhere, to get a financial, because everybody's hurting so bad, that we're not trying to compare with that. We're like, well, we'll hopefully can replace it. There's some departments on the east side of the state that their sign-on bonuses and what they're offering to start a new hire at a top-out wage and a huge signing bonus that makes us sweat just looking at it. And I don't blame our personnel that have taken those opportunities, but it's fire, EMS, law enforcement, it's anything in the trades right now. But good question, appreciate that.
Thank you. We'll be moving along to the PFAS well testing with Trustee Pratt.
Yes, thank you. I recently had a resident address some issues that they've had with this, and they have had their wells tested in the past, and unfortunately their well has come up with PFAS, and there's been several people within our community that has had the same issue. And so they were asking me to bring to the board for discussion about possibly an update from the state of Michigan, since they have not heard anything from the initial time of their well testing to see exactly what is going on. And in addition, to get some updates to see what can be done. Right now, they're in the process of having to get water for drinking, et cetera. It can be costly. They also, as other people in our community, have issues and concerns, great concerns concerning health issues. PFAS has been known to cause certain types of cancer and having other issues. And again, there's been a lack of discussion from their standpoint, and I agree with that, since this first broke into our community and came aboard. They also had some questions concerning when it initially was discovered here, and if there's been any further research on the part of the state or any contractors hired by the state to find out exactly where this flume of PFAS is coming from. That was unknown during the presentation the state made, and that's been many months back. So anyway, essentially that is it. And if the board is in agreement, I'd like to make a motion that we refer this to Superintendent Hess to write a letter to the state to see exactly where they are right now and to encourage them to readdress some of the issues that we've had down here because of the PFAS. I know other communities, I believe Cooper Township in the distant past had this issue. I believe Kalamazoo Township has had areas where this has been an issue. And so, again, I have not heard anything from anyone, and again, the resident has not. So that's basically it. I open that up for any discussion on the part of the board.
Thank you, Trustee Pratt. Any board member comments, questions?
Do we need a second? Because he didn't make a motion.
I haven't made a motion. I just, you're right. You're right.
Trustee Pratt, do you want to make a motion and then we'll go into discussion after a motion and second?
Thank you. I make a motion that we give to Superintendent Hess the initial or the request to contact the state of Michigan and get an update, get an assessment where they stand, and for any current information, and encourage them to come and speak to us again. Another thing I just remembered is that the resident indicated that there had been currently are other residents who unfortunately had not heard about this, and they are living close to some of the residents that have been positive for this, and so they would like the state to see about testing their wells also. So I make a motion that we assign this task to Superintendent Hess and let him do his thing.
Support.
Motion made by Trustee Pratt, supported by Trustee Cherry. Any board discussion? Trustee Cherry?
No, I think a follow-up would be good. Yeah.
Trustee Amos?
No, Parchment has had problems with PFAS also.
Clerk Beauchamp?
I'm in support of following up.
Trustee McIver?
I agree. The follow-up would be a good idea for the residents involved.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes, I'm fine with this. I just hope that we hear something back, and if we do, I hope it's brought to the board so we can pass that information along.
And I'd be in support as well. So we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Moving along to public comment discussion with Trustee Pratt.
Yes, thank you. Again, fairly quick discussion on this. In some of the public comments in recent weeks have been, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, but has been an increase in hostility and direct accusations directed either into the board directly or to individuals on the board, sometimes to family members, etc. I know, thinking back at our MTA conference last April of 2025, that the attorneys who had this for a discussion, a group specifically said that anything that is outside of the agenda for the board that is the working agenda for the board, could be handled, could be redirected, etc. And we've had a long baseline on this as well as many other things. So for whatever reasons, I don't believe that this has been addressed properly. I know we as a board changed our format, I believe back in February of 2025 to help address some issues that were critical at that point in time concerning outbursts, concerning verbal attacks, et cetera. But that to me seemingly has not been working or has not worked. And I know the supervisor does mention at the start of all public comments, the first and the second of our rules of basically engagement for the public. As somebody had mentioned earlier tonight, and it's been the fact that we as a board cannot respond to anyone publicly at this time. We can make member comments, or should somebody desire, they can make an appointment with any one of us, and we would be happy to discuss it if it was within our area of expertise. But again, unfortunately, this has not worked the way I think it should, and the way I think some other townships has had it made. I don't have a definite remedy for that, and I would encourage people, if they have something, to please send it forth. But in the last few meetings, I think the intensity has increased, which is very unfortunate, and the attacks beyond any kind of business that we have here have increased. And so I think enough is enough. Again, we've had a long baseline, and things have not improved. So discussion tonight, I would like to, and will make a motion, but I think that we have given people and will continue to give the public a chance to speak. But as far as I know, by law, it does not have to entail 2 public sessions. And so I'm bringing this up tonight to see if at the current time that we would like to limit a public comment to 1 session versus 2, if the board is in agreement. And if so, would it be the first or the second public comment that would be potentially eliminated? And so first I'd like to make a motion that we as a board decide that we can and will eliminate 1 public session, comment session for each meeting. And again, the public will have the same means to the remaining to address work issues for the board, and also have the means and encourage it to contact people that have an answer for any questions that they may have. So,
motion. So one question to clarify the motion would be, do we want to just stick to it? There was the part about the business part. Is that 1 public comment only to talk about township business? Or do we just want to limit the first motion to reducing it to 1 public comment, and then we would have further discussion on when that is? Or do you want to tie in the 1 public comment only pertaining to township business?
For that, I'd like to consult with our attorney here to get his input on this matter and how properly to go about it.
So as of now, we'll hold that motion and have Attorney Thal.
All right, so under the law, you have to, any public meeting, you have to allow for public comment, but that is 1 session of public comment. You don't have to have 2 sessions of public comment. different boards do different things. I mean, if you have one session of public comment, it's going to be for whatever. They could talk about agenda items or non-agenda items if they want, if there's one public comment. You're not going to be able to restrict it to just agenda items. Some townships have, on agenda items at the beginning and then open at the end, but, it's just kind of dependent on what the board wants to do in that regard.
But this first motion will not be able to.
As I understand, the motion that he made is to reduce it to one public comment session.
Correct.
And that one public comment would not be just reduced to business comments. It could be any comments, agenda and non-agenda.
That what you want the motion to be, Trustee Pratt?
That is accurate, yes.
Okay, Trustee Pratt has a motion.
Support.
Trustee Cherry has support. Board discussion. Trustee Cherry?
Well, let's be honest. 95% of what is said at that podium is vicious attacks, threats, and more often than you would think, downright lies. However, that other 5% is actually township business. Like tonight, there was quite a bit that people brought up about township business, which is fantastic. But to have that allowed twice the attacks, it's just, we're moving away from what the public comment section is supposed to be for. So I am in favor of dropping the second public comment.
Thank you, Trustee Cherry. Trustee Amos?
I have no problem with two comments. I mean, this is the one time for the public to come and tell us what they think, and sometimes we don't like what they think, but it is their right, and so I have no problem with two comment times. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Amos. Trustee Pratt, anything further?
Nothing at this time.
Clerk Beauchamp?
A couple things. One, I do hear from residents quite a bit who are a little afraid to come to our board meetings because of what is said, not only to board members, but how things are also said to other members or members of the public who make comments that don't align with some people's comments, or they find them on Facebook and write posts about them. So, I think it is a little above and beyond what public comment is intended for. I would be okay with limiting it to one, but I would also be okay with having a first public comment be about agenda items. I do think we need to hear from the public how they feel about what we will be voting on, during the meeting, and have a second public comment that is about anything. So I would be okay to support either one.
Thank you, Clerk Beauchamp. Trustee McIver?
As I understand it, Attorney Thal, you said that if you have just one public comment, it has to be both business and non-agenda items, right?
Correct. If you only have one public comment, it has to be for agenda items and non-agenda items.
I think I agree with Clerk Beauchamp that they have both public comments, but have the first one deal strictly with things on the agenda, and then the second public comment would be, as we have been doing, both business and agenda items, or public comment. That seems rational to me. I mean, it doesn't take away any of their right to talk.
Thank you, Trustee McIver. Treasurer Bloomfield?
I am still in favor of two public comments. I don't have a problem with what Nicole and Terry are supporting, though. It may help move our meetings along a little faster, but I find it kind of ironic that the Planning Commission went from 1 to 2 comments, and the Township Board is doing just the opposite, or attempting to. So I don't know what that says about the boards. I know the planning commission works together a lot better, and we seem to accomplish a lot. I think it's really important that we listen to our residents, and that was one of the reasons I was for the town hall meetings or the one-on-one. For us to sit up here and say that you can contact us through email or make an appointment. Now, we know darn well you people are not going to do that because you feel threatened. You're best to stand at this podium and let us see your face and say what you want to say, but not say your name or where you live. I mean, with the way things go in this municipality. So, but I am all for freedom of speech, and I'm all for listening to what you people have to say. If you don't want to find me here at this municipality, you know where to find me where I work. That's how I feel about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Bloomfield. I do feel that we have 6 minutes at board meetings for whoever takes the podium to let it rip, 12 minutes per month, and they're able to take that and whatever they say that they're allowed to say without affecting decorum, and who's to judge that's affecting decorum. I think it has to be pretty severe case. And if someone's looking sideways, but they're not expressing themselves to the crowd, like an angle is hard for me to, and I'm watching, and, you know, if you turn sideways directly, you need to direct the board. But, you know, I've been on the other side of the chair too, and I've seen someone storming up that podium gunning for me too, so I understand what it's like. I do understand that maybe if we want to conduct business and let it get started, and those residents who are here for perhaps entertainment or here for business, if there was a first public comment pertaining to township business, it would allow us to get our meeting started a little smoother perhaps, and then at the end they would still have an opportunity to say whatever it is, sing the Star Spangled Banner if they want at the end, but they would be afforded 2 public comments. I think we don't have a ton of people that attend these board meetings, and allowing them 2 public comments per meeting for 2 meetings a month is not that much to ask for. So I'd be in favor of 2 public comments. I would be willing to compromise to having the first public comment relating to whether it would be, Attorney Thal, is it typically just agenda items or township business?
Typically, it'd be agenda items.
Yep.
If you want to do what you're talking about, it'd be agenda items first, and then the second public comment is agenda and non-agenda items.
Okay. So with that being said, there's a motion, there's a second, and we'll do a roll call vote.
I wonder if the motion stands, or would a compromise be, would there be willing to be a compromise in a different motion, or do you want the motion to stand?
After thinking about this and getting input from board members, I'm willing to amend my motion to have as it's been discussed here, that the first be strictly business, if I understood correctly, strictly business, and the second one given an opportunity for any other issues that the client, or strike that the resident would like to discuss. But I also would emphasize that, again, as Trustee Sherry pointed out, the atmosphere tonight has been quite good as far as the manner of speech, et cetera. And it's not what we've experienced here in the past, so with that said, I'm willing to give it a further try and giving everyone an opportunity to speak their piece. But again, it should be in a manner that's business-like, and there's going to be different interpretations on that. But I think we've had meetings here over years before where it has not been like it has in the past year. And so I know it's possible. So again, I'm willing to just amend my motion to correspond with what Attorney Thal indicated. If we have 2 public comments, that the first one will be totally business
Agenda
items. And then the second one can be other non-agenda items, and giving, again, people a chance to speak. Thank you.
Motion by trustee Pratt. Do we still have a second?
We amended the motion, so
No support.
not for me, no.
I'll second.
Motion made by trustee Pratt, seconded by clerk Bochamp. Roll call vote?
Trustee Cherry?
No.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Clerk Bochamp, yes. Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you, trustee Pratt. Moving along to supervisor, we have the moratorium for data centers, and then next we have a moratorium for solar. Attorney Thal?
Yeah, both of these items came before you at your last meeting for a first reading, and they're very important to get these moratoriums in place, as there's a lot of activity looking for spots for siting of data centers around the state, and also for solar and wind renewable projects. So it's very important for you to carry forward these ordinances. It was for first reading at the last meeting, so tonight we'd be looking for a motion to adopt first ordinance 565, which is an ordinance to enact a temporary moratorium for data centers.
Any questions for Attorney Thal? Be looking for a motion?
I move that we approve a second reading of ordinance 565, an ordinance to enact a temporary moratorium on data centers.
Support.
Motion made by clerk Bochamp, supported by trustee McIver. Roll call vote?
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Clerk Bochamp, yes. Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, we'd be looking for any input. Do you have anything for the solar, Attorney Thal?
No, just again, it's very important, our ordinance is not really up to snuff in regards to solar and wind renewable energy facilities, so I think it's really important to get the moratorium in place and have the Planning Commission study the issue and look at, possible regulations.
Any board member questions for Attorney Thal? Be looking for a motion?
Move that we
Go ahead.
approve second reading of ordinance 566, an ordinance to enact a temporary moratorium on principal use solar and wind renewable energy facilities.
Support.
Motion made by clerk Bochamp, supported by treasurer Bloomfield. Any board discussion? Roll call vote?
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Clerk Bochamp, yes. Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, and next we have the ZBA with the board of 5 and then only 3 available. I learned last week that there is going to be a scheduled ZBA meeting, so we would just want to make sure that we have a board that's stocked. In the instance one person is not available, then that board would not be able to have a meeting. We did have a meeting with Treasurer Bloomfield, Trustee Pratt, and myself. We conducted interviews. During that meeting, one of our final meetings, we were able to recommend who selected, what the recommendations from the 3 board members were. It was Treasurer Bloomfield and I had the same 2 recommendations, so it came into 2-1 from the committee to recommend David Vander Worden, and then the other recommendation was for Lori Kreitzer. And the reason that we recommended David Vander Worden was that he is a licensed builder, and on the ZBA, we thought that that would be very important for a licensed builder that would understand the implications of going in front of a ZBA for marking out a house, for building a house, digging a foundation, and all of the implications that a zoning board of appeals would deal with. We thought that his real-world experience would fit very well on that board, as well as an impartial decision maker. And then the second is Lori Kreitzer, and we thought that she would have a really good role on the board, that she had prior real estate experience, and she's also retired, so she showed ample time to be able to put into it. I think it's really important on one front, you have somebody that's from the construction and the ground up to build the home, and then you have a person that has experience getting the place listed and sold in the market. So that came with a recommendation for Treasurer Bloomfield and myself, and then I will let Trustee Pratt speak to his recommendation, and then Treasurer Bloomfield speak to hers. My hopes would be is that we could have this discussion amongst the board, and that way Trustee Pratt and Treasurer Bloomfield and myself, we're not able to get together next week, so we're putting this out further yet another week, and perhaps maybe some discussion could help us get the ZBA board stocked, and we would be on with business. Treasurer Bloomfield, Trustee Pratt, either one of you, if you'd like to speak first.
Yeah, since this was added to the agenda late, like tonight, I have some strong reservations on the handling of this. We had, as I'd mentioned before, some excellent candidates for these positions. And the supervisor, Mr. Supervisor, has listed 2 candidates, and they're excellent, but we have several other candidates who are excellent too. I did make recommendations, as you and the Treasurer Bloomfield and I had spoken, and I think the board members outside of the 3 of us are at a disadvantage because we don't have the applications before us. And if we're going to make a decision tonight, which I find quite awkward, in that other board members have not had an opportunity to review and to do such a decision in public, I have not heard of that before, frankly. When we have had a committee and the committee was to have discussions and we were to have further discussions, I believe, this week. So, and again, this is an add-on to the agenda, which I don't approve of the manner of its handling. But it's brought up now, but I would highly recommend that the other board members have a complete packet of all applications showing all the experience of every applicant and their skill levels and what they've done in the past before we go, frankly, any further with a decision on the 2 and an alternate or potential alternate. There was some discussion whether the alternate that we have now was going to be interested in continuing from my memory. So that's all I have to say at this point.
Would you like to recommend to the board and talk about your perspective on who you selected and why, and then that would show the board that we have, 3 members and then the recommendation from the members?
At this point, I don't believe that's appropriate, frankly. I do have recommendations, but we have a lot of skills here in the group of applicants. But this is beyond anything I've had experienced before concerning how to select somebody. And again, if it's going to be open as is, I think, and we're going to make a decision, is that your point tonight?
I would hope that we could have a fully stocked ZBA board. I think that this has gone on long enough, and it would be good to have a fully stocked board in order to ensure quorum and that business can be handled. And I believe that we do have a recommendation 2-1. Treasurer Bloomfield and I would be glad to speak both on our recommendation, and if you would want to speak on your recommendation, then it's ultimately up to this township board in order to make a determination. And if this township board decides to not make a determination to appoint the ZBA board members, then that is a matter that has been brought forward, and it is now in the township board's hands. And if the meeting is not able to be conducted and have a quorum, there was an effort to get the board appointed, we could do it right here and have a discussion. Both you, Treasurer Bloomfield, and I are not available next week, and you told me today that you were not available this week. Yep, so this week.
Next week, I'm available.
Yep, and the meeting is on Tuesday.
Tonight.
So we're gonna have another week that goes by. We're here on this great evening tonight to conduct a meeting, handle business, and I don't think that this is too complicated of a matter to handle.
It's not complicated.
Would you like to talk about your recommendations?
I'd like to talk about the procedure. Again, the other board members, if we're going to make a decision, the other board members should have the applicants that's in this total, and to be able to see their experience, to see their expertise, and to see who we're voting on. We have three people on the committee. Two of the committee has agreed, but again, on the components of that decision, we as a committee didn't even discuss it. One person was not going to be here. We couldn't discuss it 1 week. It went on to another week. We were told by, I believe you, Mr. Supervisor, that we could have a phone conference. That phone conference never came. The next week, people have an ability to meet in certain days. You do, Sandra does, and I do at certain days. But to have it done like this in open, without the availability of the other applicants who are excellent candidates too, I do find that to be not the wise thing to do. And that's just, again, my opinion. But again, I'm a member of the same committee you are.
Thank you, Trustee Pratt. Treasurer Bloomfield?
I'm sorry. Attorney Thal's been waiting over here patiently to say something, and I have no idea what he wants to say, so I'm gonna let him jump in.
So I certainly appreciate trying to get the members seated, because you do have a ZBA meeting next week, and it'd be helpful to have a full ZBA for those meetings. With that said, the issue that has been brought up, in terms of whether or not you have to have like all the applications before a board. So generally speaking, if you have a subcommittee that's set up, and to avoid them making decisions outside of a public meeting, the subcommittee has to be purely advisory. So that means when the board makes its decision in any case, they should have all the applications available. It doesn't mean that you discount your recommendations, right? But everybody should have all the applications before them. And I don't know, it sounds like maybe all board members haven't seen all the applications. So if you're whittling things down, that's where the issue comes in, when a committee whittles it down to a couple. Thinking about it further, I think that, there's the desire to act on it right away. I think you should fill these seats as soon as you can fill them. But I do think the board would need to have all of the applications in front of them when they make the decision, so that the subcommittee is not a public body making a decision by basically weeding out other applicants. It's fine for you to make your recommendation and the board to take your recommendation in consideration, but they should have all the applications, at least emailed to them or somehow so that they are aware of all the applicants.
Thank you, Attorney Thal. Treasurer Bloomfield?
Do our alternates need to be reappointed at this point in time?
They have expiration dates on theirs as well.
So right now we have a board of how many?
It's a board of 5, 2 vacant, with questionable alternates.
So I guess we even had a problem with trying to come up with an alternate to reappoint when we already had someone we could that was already trained. So I was just thinking, in order to make sure we're covered for next week, if we would reappoint an alternate that's already been there at least.
Yeah, and I understand that this is a committee to make a recommendation. There's 3 likely the three of us are not going to agree on the same applicants, and then that's going to be in the hands of this board, and that's why I thought it would be appropriate to just begin the discussions.
Well, I will say that we did have some good candidates. And to me, the best ones were, again, David and Lori. And for the reason being, Lori being a realtor and David being a builder. But not only that, I felt like I had never met David before. So for him to say that he stood up at the podium and favored one particular thing over another of what goes on in this municipality was a huge plus for me. And I don't think I've ever seen Lori stand up either at the podium. And those weren't the only questions. I did ask like three different questions, pretty much the same to everyone. And I felt like those two did very good interviews, and they were very well-rounded for what we needed for the ZBA. So, but then I also feel like we volunteered for this board. I can't remember if there was a motion made to put us on that committee. Was there? Does anybody recall?
Yes.
So I understand what Attorney Thal's saying, but at the same time, you board members voted us to do this job and put the faith in us. And I guess I understand both sides of it, but nice to be seen if we could be trusted with the faith that you put in us for this committee.
Thank you, Treasurer Bloomfield. So ultimately, we have a 2-to-1 recommendation. Treasurer Bloomfield and I are willing to bring forth who we recommend. Trustee Pratt, not so much willing to do that right now. I just want to ultimately leave this in the board's hands on how we want to move forward, take the chance of the next DDA or the next ZBA meeting, and it would be, I would think it would make a nice conversation if there was a dialogue, if perhaps Trustee Pratt had two people he recommended and we had two people, and then we had a conversation about it. But I understand.
I have a question. Did your committee meet at all to discuss after all the interviews?
Yes.
You said it's a 2-to-1.
We did.
So was there one that you agreed on? Could we go with one person, or was there not even an agreement on that?
One question that Attorney Thal may be able to address is like incompatible office, is like if there's a contract, how would that work? If someone has a contract, are they able to serve on the ZBA board?
A contractor of the township cannot serve on the ZBA.
So that eliminates perhaps one individual that would be a recommendation. So I'm not sure. I was hoping we could at least get something going. That would be great.
Following one of the recommendations of Attorney Thal, would it be possible, Mr. Supervisor, if you would get copies of all the applicants to the board members?
Yes.
And so we could potentially set up a discussion this week by phone if we can't come into the office. And so we have some knowledge, or they have some knowledge of the entire applicant group and skills that they have before we discuss it any further.
So let me just say this. So obviously the board can't, like, you can circulate the applications, and I think you have to if you are whittling down who the applicants are as a committee. The committee would not then be subject to Open Meetings Act and can talk on the phone as a committee. Obviously, the board members can't talk about it. So if, you can disseminate the applications to the board for discussion at a board meeting, but that would be brought up by the committee then making their recommendations. So if it's still 2-to-1 or whatever, you'd bring that up, say you set it for the next board meeting. You would have to make sure all board members have all the applications, and then would have the recommendations from the committee, 2-to-1 or whatever, what the committee recommendation is. And then the board would have to make the decision, because the board does make the decision on who gets appointed to the ZBA.
Thank you, Attorney Thalen. I've been monitoring the ZBA meetings to see if we were going to have one, and thus far, we've gotten lucky that we haven't had one, and then it popped up that there's enough business to have one, so.
Yeah, I would just say in regards to the ZBA, so it's important to have more members, really. If you have 3 members, that's what's needed to make a decision. And for a ZBA to grant a variance, all 3 have to vote in favor of it. So a lot of times when you only have 3 members available, you might even give the applicant the option to postpone their decision until there's a fuller board, because otherwise, if you only have 3 board members there, it has to be all 3 in favor of the variance or it fails. So, I mean, that is a concern. That's why you need to fill these seats as soon as you can.
And then the 4th Tuesday just happens to be, would our board meeting be that Monday before? But we canceled that meeting, I think. And so I also, whether that meeting was going to be on Monday, I didn't want to give them 1-day notice, and I believe that meeting was canceled. So I just wanted to bring it to the board, Treasurer Bloomfield, Trustee Pratt, if we all want to discuss it and handle it here, but I understand if we don't want to.
So the next one would be April 28th, and we have a board meeting on the 6th and 27th of April. So we would have 2 more before the next April ZBA meeting.
Isn't the ZBA meeting this month?
But it is this month. I'm saying the next one after.
Yep, I got you.
Do you know if, I don't have this information in front of me, if the alternates if their terms have expired?
I believe they have.
They have, okay.
And so perhaps maybe just to give the applicant a fair opportunity, maybe we should just cancel that ZBA meeting?
Typically, we just leave it up to like we attend the meeting and we tell the applicant, look, to get your variance approved, it's going to require a unanimous vote of all 3. If you want to wait, you can wait and have a determination hopefully by the next meeting would be a full ZBA to make that determination.
And could we just direct staff to have that correspondence?
Yeah, I mean, we could correspond with them ahead of time to let them know that. And it's really the applicant's choice. But they should be aware of that. We normally will make an applicant aware of that.
Yep, that was my goal here. So any further board member comments, questions? So at the next board meeting, we will bring this forward with we'll just double check. I believe both of us have all the applicants, but we'll double check and put it on the agenda and get this board loaded up, so. Alrighty, moving on to Superintendent Report.
All right, under Superintendent, I have 3 items that I brought in front of the board previously. One was the 2026 Kalamazoo County Road Contract. That did not get approved last time. The deadline is today for us to, if we approve it, or if we don't approve it, we'll lose about $289,996 for participation funds from the local road contract. Any questions looking at that again?
Any board member questions?
Yeah, I had one question. So after reading this and the township additional funds of $910,000, and then looking at the cash summary report, is that coming from the municipal street fund?
Correct. Yeah, the road funds.
Okay, so it's already there.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Any further questions for Superintendent Hess? Treasurer Bloomfield?
No, if there are none, I'll make a motion to accept the 2026 Kalamazoo County Local Road Contract Fund with the signature on that of Supervisor Martin.
Support. Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, supported by Trustee Cherry. On this one, do we need a roll call vote?
We don't need to, but we can.
Okay. Roll call vote?
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. That was very important. Next, on the 864 Lombard property, we had a presentation from the land bank. I kind of want to take this back a few years of when we acquired the property through the county. The whole goal, and it was kind of driven from the previous board, is to rehab this property to make it affordable housing through mechanisms with the state, the county, to have either low-income housing. Veterans was an important piece to it, as you heard from the gentleman there. And the whole goal there is that the township was never going to be the landlord of this property. We always were going to hand it off. At one point, Mary Gustus had shown interest in running that. I don't look at it as we're giving it back or throwing the money away, because this is a partnership. This is something that the county wants to, they have more mechanisms than we do to get funding to make this project happen. This is still going to be in our township. It was never going to be on our tax roll because it was going to be township owned. It's still going to be land bank owned. It's going to be county owned. But I think this is we saw, I think in the Planning Commission, that, they just approved some smaller affordable housing, that it is an important piece to this community right now. We've had Upjohn Institute do a big study, and it's all over. So I would just ask the board if they would really consider us doing this partnership with them, with the land bank, and getting this project, on the roll. If not, then the project would probably, the township board, has the authority to say, let's just sell the property, and who knows what would become of that. Maybe it would become one single house, and maybe it would become a landlord. It just takes it and doesn't become, that type of housing for affordable. So it's really in the board's hands on this at that point.
Any board discussion, questions for Superintendent Hess, or discussion on this matter amongst ourselves?
I have a question, if I may. I remember the presentation from the guys at the land bank I think it was last meeting. But the one burning question I've got right now, if we just let the money go that we put in it, enter into the agreement of the partnership with the land bank of Kalamazoo County. That is going to be taken over and managed by them and possibly used just for the retired veterans?
Yeah, and that's something that, I could get with Attorney Thalls in a real estate transaction. If we gave that property to the land bank for that, maybe it can be in there for only use of affordable housing, so that they could never say, oh, we're not going to do the project, and then turn around and sell it. Because I think that's kind of the important piece, is to keep it in that same program for affordable housing, and that other property that they showed in the diagram. But that's kind of, I think, what you're asking is but they would take it over, they would manage it. The land bank in previous years didn't have this model, but now they're starting to take this model. I was surprised they didn't mention that one of their, and I won't steal their thunder, but one of their upcoming projects is to take a lot of the vacant land that gets foreclosed, that's just vacant land, and to do type of a brownfield on those and create housing on those properties and run them through the land bank to make them more affordable. So they have a lot of great ideas. I encourage everybody to go down and talk to Zach, who's a new director there, and he's got a lot of ideas to help our housing needs.
Any further questions for Superintendent Hess? So, yeah, turn your microphone on.
I live in Marybrook, which is across the creek from this property, and I have a little problem with this property, that if you turn this into where veterans are going to live, that someone should notify them before they rent it or move in there, that there's a gun range. It's been there. I lived there for 42 years, and they're big guns that they shoot over there sometimes. And I mean, I've seen veterans come out wrecks and underneath of them in the blink of an eye over a gunshot or a plane go over. And I think that if, it should be mentioned to them before they rent that property or so, that is there. And it's been there for years.
I wasn't known of a gun range anywhere in our township, but.
Well, it's right over the hill from them. I mean, I'm way on the other side, and some of my neighbors have complained about it. It doesn't bother me. I've been around guns all my life, and as long as I don't hear bullets hitting my aluminum siding, I'm okay with it, but I just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah.
I think that's very important in my opinion.
Thank you, Trustee Amos. Any further board questions? One question that I had was the concern of residents on the appearance of just giving away something that costs $25,000 to $30,000, and I wondered if that would be rationalized with maybe recouping taxes or something like that, but
had chosen to, trigger that mechanism. So I actually paid, we had a cleanup there, so it was really weird. They paid us and then we paid them back because it was kind of a thing. So that is tax dollar. So that's something they cannot refund on that point, at that point. And they made that clear that it could not be refunded. So that's why I think our intention was to get the grants to get it accomplished ourselves, but the township wasn't in a landlord position, and we would have had, like Mary Gustus run it, and it would still be ran by somebody else and that. But with the mechanisms that Zach has in the foundation with Mary Balkema, there's a lot more money that they can obtain because they fall under that category of getting that type of money, where townships just don't have it. It's like when Matt files a grant, you hope, but you don't get it. They have more access, so.
and for our board to consider more or less would be an indirect value. We may not be getting money back, but it's up to us to decide what type of value and valued currency without getting money does that put into our community if there's the $25,000 to $30,000 that we don't recoup, but we are able to create an opportunity that provides value to the community. As it's not directly measured, but indirectly. So, and then I just had a couple questions in regards to water and sewer and driveways, but that it was a little hard to read the map.
Yeah, so there is water that comes down, it is close, that's easy to pull. The sewer is not an issue because they can do septic, it's well and septic there.
Okay.
But they would push the water to those properties. But there is grants, which Mary was talking about to me about, sewer grants, because there's sewer in 26 and it could come around. But it's a costly, but it'd probably be $1.5 million, I'm just guessing. But that would something if they could get a infrastructure grant, which they have a little more access to do, that they could do that and bring sewer up there. But they weren't worried about that because of if you get one or the other, you're good. So water was available.
And then ultimately the opportunity that lies in front of us is, do we want that to go to the land bank, or is that something that we would want to go into the private sector? And then if it were sold into the private sector, then that would be added onto the tax assessment roll, correct?
Yep. But it could be not affordable at that point. There's a lot of.
Yeah, they could do nothing with it,
be out of our hands.
tear it down,
Yep.
vacant land. Treasurer Bloomfield?
I'm sorry, I was just sitting over here listening and taking it all in. Yeah, this is a tough one. I guess I'm understanding that funds dried up initially after the township acquired this property
Yeah, we received a grant for $368,000 through the housing millage, and they were, that's usually good for a year or so. We went for Mishta, we didn't receive any funding there. And really, that's about all the funding the township really could get. The land bank could get funding through, well, I don't know, you're gonna have to help me on that, the private, the bills, so I'd say. There's funding in Kalamazoo that's available, and then through the land bank. They just have more opportunities because they do this, so.
So the only way for us to put it back on the tax rolls would be for us to vote as a board to turn around and list it and sell it.
To sell it, correct.
And what do you suppose that's worth, Scott? Do you have any clue?
I don't know, I mean, 30, because that's probably, I think, what we paid the taxes on it, so.
Any further questions?
No.
Trustee MacGyver?
In the grand scheme of things, the way I'm thinking about it, thank you. And it's just me. If $20,000 would probably would be paid back over and over again if we could get the land bank to put, let's say, 4 veterans and veteran families or whatever in that complex and give them a break and get them back on their feet. That's worth a lot of money in itself. It may be not tangible, but it would take us out of the equation and maybe make life a little bit better for some Comstock residents that happen to need housing, affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee MacGyver. Clerk Beauchamp?
I really like the vision that the county has for this property. I think it's in line with what the original vision was when the past board purchased it, and we didn't have the funding, or it came in way too high to do the work that it was needed. But we are in desperate need of affordable housing, not only in Comstock, but in our county and in our country. And I do like that they are focusing on veterans and helping that community out. So I think, as you were talking earlier, Supervisor Martin, about it's not a monetary value, but what value does it bring to our community? I think that's a good point. And I think this would bring a lot of value and serve a portion of our community that really is underserved.
Thank you. Trustee Pratt?
Excuse me, I'm in agreement with having this partnership with the land bank. They have, as has been pointed out, many more resources and ability to get monies that we do not have. And I think it would be unwise to take this back and to deal with it, or attempt to deal with it on our own. The fact that the commander of the county veterans spoke earlier to the board and the public, I think that's, for me, put it cemented my decision on this. I think we should continue with this partnership.
Thank you, Trustee Pratt. Trustee Cherry? Trustee Amos, did you have anything further?
Thanks.
I would just echo what most people have said. You know, affordable housing, that's what we want in the community, help veterans at the same time. And the vision, like Clerk Beauchamp mentioned, the vision they have for the property in the future, I'm all about it.
And I as well, directly might be under ceasefire for giving something up like that, but if you considered it that's some skin in the game from us to get something that would serve veterans back, I think that would be the least that we owe them, so I would be in favor as well. Any further board discussion? Be looking for a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we enter into a partnership with the Land Bank of Kalamazoo and execute the transfer of the property deed for the Lombard property that we've been speaking of.
Support.
Motion made by Trustee MacGyver, supported by Clerk Beauchamp. Roll call vote?
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee MacGyver?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I would like to make a comment, please. I wish if we could have, in that motion, it would have been said for veterans, because I don't think it was. So I guess I just wanted to make that clear, that I feel like that motion should have included for veterans. Thank you.
Do you want to make a motion to that fact?
I would like to, if we could, or Mr. MacGyver amend his motion, I would be happy with that.
All right.
Mr. MacGyver? Thank you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you have to revote, but.
All right, I'd like to restate my motion. I was incorrect in not getting it as correct as I should have. I would like to make a motion that the township, Comstock Township, enters into a partnership with the Land Bank of Kalamazoo and execute the transfer of the Lombard property deed to the land bank and make sure that it's designated for occupancy by retired veterans that can use the help.
From Kalamazoo County. From Kalamazoo County. Go ahead, you're good. Support.
Thank you.
Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, or motion made by Trustee McIver, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. Roll call vote.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Clerk Bochamp, yes. Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Okay, amended motion carried.
Jeez.
All right, thank you. Next is I bringing back the College Hunks garbage contract that they proposed to do 2 pickups. The board had asked me to bring back some of the information of what our last 2 spring and fall tonnage pickups were. As you see, I gotta get that in my glasses, but let's see, I think the spring was the highest at 247 and fall was at 277. So basically we were well over 100,000 plus for that. And I really, College Hunks, Chad's been doing a good job for us, just wants to put this proposal out. He feels that he could, if he loses, it's his it's his dime on that, but he just feels to keep his, I think his men going and women to keep the service up and keep Comstock happy, so.
Any questions for Superintendent Hess? Treasurer Bloomfield?
I have a couple, Superintendent Hess. Have we had anybody else bid this or been interested in bidding this?
If I could, bring them on, because we started this curbside pickup, that was, I think, Ann Noonheist started it before I was here, and we actually had Waste Management back in the day when they had the rear, the rear dump trucks. And then it got to they probably did 4 or 5 years, or maybe longer than that, and then they said they weren't going to do it anymore because now all these trucks dump on the top, so they really don't have a way to throw all this in. So we almost had it to where we couldn't do this, and College Hunks was doing some of our cleanups. I asked them to do it, to bid on it, and then I did ask some of the other cleanup companies, but they just don't have the equipment and manpower to do it. They just don't have enough people, so College Hunks seems to be the only one, unless you do single hauler. I think the only one that does Republic does Cooper, because they have a contract for single hauler with Cooper. And then Texas Township uses College Hunks, and I think that's the only other community. I'm not sure Ostromont even does it. No, they have pickup at their facility, so.
And last year, we spent $120,000?
Yeah, roughly it was 60, whatever was on here, 69.5 in one pickup and 48.4 on the other.
What I found interesting with this was he's saying that his costs have gone up 18.2%, but then at the same time, he's giving us a $20,000 discount. And that was my concern with finances, that's what, a $40,000 swing?
Yeah.
And so that's why I questioned another contract, not that I was saying anything bad, but it just seems like that was a lot for him to give up, Superintendent, to do what he wants to do. And just real quick, I would like to see us, I'm not all for this, I'm not against it, but I'm not all for it either. And I know we had some discussion on this at the last meeting, where I would like to see us offer more services, and you would know more about this than me. So if we were only to do one pickup and we held back the other $40,000, how much would that give us at the trash compactor for residents to use just to bring their junk? Or how much would that give us for like brush pickup?
Well, one thing, I mean, we've toyed with this in previous, is having just free dump day down there where
Correct.
anybody
That's
can
kind
do
of what
that.
I'm-
But we get a lot of residents that call and say, you know, it's cheap enough down there, they would use it, but they just don't have a way to haul it, you know,
Right.
that's the big issue is the pickup piece to it. Leaf pickup can be pretty pricey, and like I said, I guess we would have to determine, you know, you got to do it township-wide because the residents, this is all their tax dollars, so we'd have
Right.
to do it in the country, you know,
Well,
rural and that,
I'm
you know,
talking
so-
about not doing it
Yeah.
out country or
Oh.
even for brush pickup, Scott,
Yeah.
where we would just open the trash compactor X amount of days, like in the spring and in the fall for brush. And then here's something else we've never discussed is tires. We see tires thrown everywhere, and I don't know what it costs to get rid of them, but I know there are different municipalities that do a tire
We do
collection.
that. We do that too, once
Okay.
a year with the county. So we have a trailer up there and you can bring any size
Okay.
tire. Otherwise, I believe it's like $3.50 a tire now. I mean, it's gone way up to somebody to drop it off and pay for it. And that's just a 1-for-1 with the vendor that takes the tires. So
Well, kind of where I was headed with this was just a conversation about not doing the 2 pickups, just doing the 1. And like I said, opening the trash compactor for free days or just for people to bring in their brush and using our independent business owners to haul for them if they had to.
Yeah.
And that way we wouldn't be going door to door or property to property to do a second pickup. It's just something I thought we
No,
could
and
discuss.
those are good questions, and I mean, I could talk all day on this, but one thing is the state, in the last, I think it's, this is the second year, I have to record the amount. That's brush and leaves, and it gets to the point where, you know, we're no longer a transfer station, we're a composting station and a transfer station. And so we always have to be careful on that because we're just not set up to
I
fund
remember that.
We got to go one step or so. So we always stay, I know we do free leaf, you know, drop off there. I mean, with the card, but still it's free. We changed that. It used to be, they charged. And we changed that because we felt that if you charge, everybody would burn them and the whole, you know, you'd have smoke everywhere. So hopefully that deters it. But there's some good opportunities. I applied for a grant to increase that station, and we were turned down by the state. And the only reason we were turned down the state because they asked me the question of, is it funded forever, being is it on the taxes, like the person would be on their taxes as a separate item that says, you know, like recycle or anything like that. I said, no, and they said, well, we will not let you have our grant because the next board could say, close it. And we had that happen because it was closed one board and then the last board opened it. So this board could say, we're going to close the transfer station. So those are some of the hurdles we run into, but we always felt that the boards previous didn't want to put that on the taxpayers. They just leave it the same. So if you wanted to use it, you buy the card and then pay the small amount. And we haven't really increased, you know, those art dump fees that much. So, and if you look at the numbers, the transportation is a loss, but every municipality I've been in, it is a loss because it's just the value to our residents. And that's the only body that's allowed to use it, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any further board comments, questions? If not, be looking for a motion.
I would make a motion that we accept the College Hunks proposal of $100,000 for 2 pickups spring and fall 2026, and have Scott, or Superintendent, has signed the paperwork to get that done.
Motion made by trustee MacGyver.
Support.
Supported by trustee Cherry. Roll call vote?
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
No.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Trustee MacGyver?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
No.
Okay, 5 yes, 2 no, motion carries.
Okay, next I have Ordinance Officer Sapansky. He's in there to do his ordinance report.
Thank you, Superintendent Hess.
Good evening. I'll keep this a little short. So for last month, I went to court twice. Wrote 1 citation, 1 parking ticket. I had 40 complaints, which was a lot for last month. I found 9 violations. We corrected 18 of those violations. I still have 22 cases open from last month. We did do 3 litter pickups on public property. The first one was out on MO and 31st. Second one's out on King Highway over here. And the third one was out on Rose Street, which, not to spoil it for next month, but we're back there again this month for Rose Street. That being said, I've been blessed, as my grandfather says, as being a foreman. I'm really good at pointing and telling people what to do. Richard, our maintenance guy, was blessed with a very strong back. So I feel bad for him every time we go out to Rose Street, because I just stand there sweating as he's picking up those heavy objects off of Rose Street. I do tell him that he's doing a good job, so there's that. People feel like that you need to dump on Rose Street because they can't afford to bring it to the transfer station. Please reach out to me, because I'd rather give you a pass so we can not go to Rose Street and pick it up, and kind of saves Township money, saves Richard's back, and saves me from sitting there and pointing and telling him that he's doing a good job. Any questions?
Any questions for Dakota?
Sweet.
Thank you, Dakota.
Have a good night.
Moving along to reports, we have a report, February 2026 fire report. We have cash summary by fund, February 2026, cash summary by bank account, February 2026, bills paid, March 12th, 2026, February 2026 fire department public relations report, February 2026 sheriff's report, and February 2026 CABA reports. Informational future action items, we have FOIA requests. Moving along to public comment. On agenda and non-agenda items, a citizen may state their name and address, may only speak 1 time for no more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor. No other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you'll be making statements to the board without discussion from board members. You're welcome to make an appointment with the supervisor or superintendent to discuss your comments further. Their contact information is located by the door. Please keep your comments clean and respectful.
Karen Height. I'd like to thank the board for passing both moratoriums for the data centers and the large-scale renewable energy. I think it's very important to keep our township safe from these things. They're coming in all over the United States, and I do understand that with progress, we do have to move, but there's different places that they can be put, not in our little 36 square miles township. We don't need them here. So thank you for putting them into moratorium so that we can look at it further. As far as the Lombard property, I think if it's going to go for our veterans, I think that's a good idea. With the fire department, I know you guys always say that I'm against the fire department. No, I'm not. I respect our fire department, our firefighters, our police department, our EMTs. You all do a fantastic job for all of us. My question is, though, at one of the last meetings, Chief Beauchamp said that it was not going to increase our taxes to build the new one. But what happens if you don't get these?
If you'll direct the comments to the board.
Sorry.
Thank you.
What happens if he doesn't get these grants? Then who pays for it? I mean, we've already paid to have all of the drawings and everything done. If we're going to spend $13.5 million on a brand new one, I was made fun of on my other comment about building up. How about if we can rebuild, add on to the ones we have? We're landlocked, we don't have enough room. They showed that they couldn't put enough people in those meeting rooms. Go to the people that own the property next door, offer them $1 million for their little square piece of property to give you more property to add on to what we existingly have. Just another idea. But I would like to know what happens if you don't get those grants. Then who's going to pay for it? Is it going to be us? Is it going to be our taxes? Right now you're saying it's not. I don't want my taxes increased, but yes, I do want my fire departments to be able to handle that big fire that they had down on Kings Highway. Those are things that can happen. And so, yes, I respect every one of them, and I appreciate what they do for us. But they also have to respect that people that are on fixed incomes just can't have their taxes raised anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, Tammy Keeler. Kind of have something to say here. Okay, that meeting that was scheduled for 2 o'clock the other day, nobody seemed to know about it until just like that, it just popped up. And some of them couldn't make it because they were at working. And I think you guys did that on purpose. I really do, whoever set that meeting up. So Ben couldn't be here, Sandy, or Jerry Amos. Sort of a surprise when we saw it on there. Talk about short notice. And then Mr. Pratt, you sat there saying that we criticize everybody? Well, let's see. You brought something out on Sandy, Ben, Amos. You're always bringing something up there that has nothing to do with township business. And you're sitting there saying it has to do with township business? That didn't, nothing. So that statement, you ought to retract that and stop and think what you did. And I don't know what's wrong with these people going after these farms. Oshwell's going after one out there on the ML Avenue because they want his farm for a best, and he just got an agricultural license. He sells beef. And now they're going after him. What is it about these farms you guys don't like? You don't like fresh vegetables, fresh meat, milk? You don't like that stuff? Yeah, they're going after another one out there on ML Avenue. And if you guys don't believe me, it's on Facebook. If you look at Ashtamo. So it's just getting ridiculous. Go out to Ben's, have a drink, have some fun. I go out, go out there with my grandkids and stuff. They love it. Let them, there's a lot of people out there that you take care of your own kid, but other people are out there too to help with your kids. So that you can, sit and relax and have one of his ciders. I bet you none of you have ever been out there, have you? Not a one of you. But like that lady was saying, Ben does contribute to Loaves and Fishes all the time, constantly. Anything that he has left. He's a good-hearted man. Give him a chance. And it's not a liquor license, it's called a winery license. Get that back straight. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I guess I'll just say, I think it's crazy that this board and that person decided to bring a motion to take out one of the public comments and then had the audacity to also say, if you email us, we will answer back. Well, that one board member made a comment about me in member comments. I emailed him. I still have yet to receive a response. I even asked him personally if I would get a response. He told me no. The township wants transparency and you want to take it away. That's asinine.
Thank you, sir.
John Charlie again. I will say, kind of what the last person said, you guys, some of you board members wanted transparency and then to take it away. I do understand the fact that sometimes people are rude. I don't think it's 95%. I kind of take a little heart to that. I get up almost every single meeting and speak, and I don't think I've really said too many mean things. I mean, I think the things that I've stated, I have facts for and I have realistic, like, upset beliefs. I've never really, like, told someone to, like, you know, F you or anything like that. I've never really done that. But, like, to say 95% of people that get up at this podium and just speak nonsense and hatred, I kind of take a little hate to that because I show up to every meeting and use both of my public comments to the best of my ability to actually speak about things going on in this township. And I think it is okay that the first comment and everything like that, that you have to talk about the agenda. I think that's a good choice. You know, there's a lot of people sometimes just start going off the deep end in the first comment. We could care less about that, in my opinion. Let's talk about the agenda on the comment. Leave the second one to whatever you want to talk about. If you want to, you know, sing, you can sing. You want to talk about something, you can talk about something. It's just, I hope we can get along. It's going to be a long, you know, end of the month because we have a huge meeting to go to, and I hope a lot of people show up to that. And I just hope that we can get along and stop spreading hate and that, you know, maybe tone it down to 50-50 of hateful comments and actual stuff, not 95-5. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Autumn Smith. I want to address something that should concern every resident in the township. The fact that there was a need, or some people felt a need, to call a special meeting to determine if someone violated an ordinance. Was the ordinance officer just not here? Could he not determine if he violated an ordinance? Can we not enforce the ordinances we have? Do we not have a competent ordinance officer? Those are the things that come through my mind. Also, due process. How many other people in this township have gotten an ordinance and were allotted a special meeting to be heard, to have resident input, to have board input, publicity on Facebook, on MLive? That's not fair due process. I would encourage, I don't know, I can't ask, but the opinion of why is the special meeting needed? That seems a waste of township resources. Either he violated the ordinance and he gets issued a citation and then he can address it through the court system or the legal system, or he didn't. It's a yes or no question. Can Dakota or Mr. Hess or whoever the ordinance officer is determine, has Mr. Martin violated the ordinance according to the township ordinance that people are alleging he violated? Has Soil Friends committed that violation, or whoever is the owner or deeded property? The fact that you're having a political theater and witch hunt over this, over an ordinance violation, speaks itself that this is a political theater and it is a witch hunt towards somebody. Because if I was another township person that had received an ordinance in this township and I was not allotted a special meeting for my violation, I'd be upset. I thought it was equal application under the law, and you guys all sworn to protect and uphold and defend the Constitution of the state of Michigan and the United States. And that's part of it, equal application under the law. Your guys' oaths say that, or the ones that have taken an oath. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further citizen comment this evening? If there are no further comments, we'll be moving along to members' comments. Treasurer Bloomfield?
The last comment that was said at the podium was very good. Thank you for that. I think a lot of us needed to hear that equal application of the law. In my opinion, that you just said a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Bloomfield. Trustee McIver?
No, thank you. I have nothing tonight.
Clerk Beauchamp?
I just want to say we're gearing up for the May 5th election. I will give an election report next board meeting, but for those on who have requested an absentee ballot or on the permanent ballot list, we do intend to mail those out around March 30th. So those should be in your mailboxes sometime around then.
Thank you. Trustee Pratt?
Nothing further, thank you.
Trustee Amos?
I'm good, thank you.
Trustee Cherry?
No point, thank you.
I'm interested to watch the Planning Commission get to work on the data centers and the solar. I think that that's a complex topic, and I think that the joint moratorium committee meetings that we had with battery energy storage, I think that that put the township in a better, more educated position. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the Planning Commission does on the data centers and the solar. Also excited that we were able to have some give and take as a board to give something outward to the community, maybe not receive money directly, but help veterans in need to have some housing and welcome them to live in our community. This meeting is adjourned.